Hey guys, Justin Rivas here. We're talking about some of the basics in photography terminology. And next up is ISO. ISO is simply the term for how much light we're telling the sensor in our camera to capture. Unlike the human eye, cameras have a built-in sensor that can crank up its sensitivity to light or turn it down. So if we're in low light situations, we can turn up the ISO, which is turning up the sensitivity to light, and it's going to let more light into the photo and brighten up the image. On the other hand, if we turn the ISO down, it's going to let less light into the photo. Where this matters is, let's say we're shooting out on a really sunny day. There's so much light out there that we want to turn down that ISO, or if you're in an automatic setting, your camera is turning down the ISO to make it not so sensitive to light. Whereas if we get into a really dark space, it's going to turn up the ISO in order to capture more light into that photo, make it more sensitive so that we can take better shots in low light. The only thing to watch out here is as we turn that ISO up more and more, you're going to get grainier photos and less quality. That's just the nature of it having to try so much harder to capture the light. Give you a quick example here. If we look at the computer, we'll take a look at this shot right here. Got a drummer here, and you'll see this photo doesn't look bad initially, but I'm at a fairly high ISO here, ISO 3200. That's pretty high for the camera that I was shooting on, and you'll see as I zoom in towards his face, you'll see all this grain on his skin that's got all these kind of black and white specks around here, as well as in the background. That's because the camera was having to work really hard to capture that image. Let's take a look at a different photo. Here's a photo of my brother, and we're zoomed in here, and you'll see that there's none of that grain in there. There's none of those black and white speckles, exact same camera. But in the case of this shot right here, we're at ISO 125. That's a very low number, meaning the camera's not having to work very hard to capture that light. So ISO is simply the sensitivity of your camera to light. You can crank that up to get more light in dark spaces and crank it down on really sunny days. The byproduct is the higher it goes, the more grain, the more noise we get in the photos. That's ISO. Hope that made sense to you. If it did, subscribe to the channel, like the video. We've got a lot more stuff coming your way. I'm Justin Rivas. Thanks for watching.